Hello and welcome back. This is your money coach, MoneyFit MD. How are you guys doing today? Welcome back to my page. For those that have been sending me questions, emails, thank you. I love engaging with you guys. Keep the questions going. No question is too silly or stupid or simple. If you have it, someone else has it. And you know what? Those questions you're asking me is part of how I'm creating the topics that I'm coming up with, because it's very important that these topics are very pertinent to you. So for those that were asking me about how money flows in my bank account, or how the pathway that money or cash flows throughout my financial system, I'm going to be talking to you guys about that today. So what we are talking about is a cash flow or a money flow management or flow system in general. So this is interesting. In 2017, Americans paid about $34 billion in overdraft fees. I'm going to repeat that. Americans paid over $34 billion in overdraft fees. That's crazy. And that's overdraft fee only. That's not talking about late fees and these other crazy fee-based ways that banks make their money. So if you're someone who pays overdraft fees, if you're someone that pays late fees, and you're like, oh my goodness, but I had the money somewhere in my bank account, but I didn't know that bill was coming. I totally forgot about the bill. This is free, because those things do add up. And honestly, I would rather take my $25, $35 and give it to someone that needs it, or use it for something else that brings me joy, than adding it to the percentage or whatever that the CEO of some big bank is going to be making at the end of the month. So my point is, there's a good system, and if you have a good system in place, that's fantastic. If you don't, stay tuned. We're going to talk all about it. Right? So the issue is this. The problem for some people just don't make enough money to afford the lifestyle that they have. But then there's others who that's not the problem. The problem is more how to organize their finances in a way that when their income comes in, whether that's from one source or multiple sources, it's going exactly where the money is, so that you're not having to figure this out every single day. So if you have a question and you're wondering, why is this important? Why is it important to have a cash flow system? Number one, like I mentioned, is fees. Fees, right? Those fees are very, very annoying. This actually reminds me of something that happened, multiple times to me when I was in college. Number one, I was a broke college kid, right? But number two, I just didn't have a great money management system. Now I know better. But what happened then was, I don't know if you guys ever saw, I'm sure you did. There were all those advertisements on TV where if you buy one CD, you can get like 4 or 5 CDs, musical CDs for free. So I used to do that because I was broke and I wanted like 5 CDs for $20 or $9.99 or whatever it was. But what I didn't do though was I didn't read the fine print and the fact that they were going to be charging me shipping. I know, stupid, right? I mean, who was I expecting to pay for the shipping? But anyways, I was young and stupid. Anyways, so those would come in, and imagine my annoyance, my sadness and grief when my bank would charge me $25 to $35 in overdraft fee because this $10 bill came in that I had no idea was coming in. Right? Now I know better, but the point though is, I kind of digressed a little bit. Fees are annoying when you're having to pay it, especially if your funds are limited, or even if you have the funds and you're like, what the heck? I paid $25 for a bounce check when I had money in a different system, right? So if that's you, definitely stay tuned. And the number two reason why this is important is it's good for you to know where your money is sitting, right? Because anytime in life, whenever you make a decision, there's an opportunity cost. So if your money is sitting down in a system or in a bank, in an account, there is an opportunity cost of what you're not using with that, or what you're not achieving or doing with that money, right? And then number three is it just improves your access, because when you do want the money, you want to be able to access it. You don't want to, if you need $2,000, for example, you go to your bank and they're like, sorry, your ATM limit is like 500 or your transfer limit is 500. So having a good money cash flow system can be very helpful for those reasons. And then the other reason is just peace of mind, right? You want to know that when you're sleeping, your bills are paid, it's not bouncing, you don't have to worry about later. Just empty out. Just let yourself keep life simple. That's my goal. The simpler the life is, the better it is, right? If you've been following my vlog so far, it's important for you to know what your expenses are every month. Because if you don't know what your expenses are, it's hard for you to be prepared for your expenses. So your fixed expenses especially are the most important. And if you ask me what fixed expenses are, I know we've talked about that in previous blogs, but these are things that you pay every month that are fixed, that are predictable. It's your rent, your mortgage, your phone bill, your internet bills, your childcare, those things that come in every single month. It's good to know what those are, because when you know what your fixed expenses are, you know how much you need to have in your bank account. Because if you have money sitting down in your bank account when it should not be sitting down there and should be working for you, you're kind of missing out on the opportunity cost. You're missing out on the investment, on the savings, and all those other stuff. So let's talk about the 4 important buckets. And my goal here, guys, is to keep this simple. You can make it complicated, but I want it to be very, very simple. And then within that simplicity, you can fine-tune things, because personal finance is personal, right? It's variable for you and I. It's very different. But my goal is to create a system that is simple for you, and then you can make it as complicated or keep it simple as you want. So number one thing is you want to set up some bank accounts. And the way that I think about it, there are 4 general buckets that your money is going into. So when your income comes in, there's a main checking account. This is where your fixed, and most people, this is where their fixed expenses go to. So this is where your mortgage comes in from, your rent comes in from, and all this other stuff. What I try to do, and I'll tell you what I do, is I use credit card for that. Not for my rent and my mortgage, but for my phone bills, for those other expenses. And the reason why is we collect points and cash reward for expenses. Listen, this is only for people that are able to pay off their credit card every single month. If you don't think you're able to, you should not be using the system, because there's no amount of points or cash reward that is worth you paying fees or interest to your bank, to your credit card company, okay? So this is only for people that know for sure they're going to be paying it off, because they live below their means, not even within their means, below their means. They're conscious about their spending. They know what bills they're expecting and are able to keep things within good control. Does that make sense? So that's your main checking account. And then there's a second bucket, which is your savings account. I'm going to call this one savings account, but again, you can make it as complicated or as easy as you want to be. There's some people that create sub-accounts under this. So your savings could include your emergency funds, could include your vacation next year to Fiji Island fund, could include your whatever your short, medium, or long-term goals are. That can be your savings account. And a lot of banks will let you open sub-accounts. I know Ally Bank does that, and I talked to you guys about Ally Bank in the past. We use it. I really like them. They're customer-oriented, and I really do enjoy working with them. But anyway, so you can create sub-accounts. You can make it as simple or as complicated as that can be, okay? So that's the second account. The third one is your investment. And the goal is to try and automate this. You don't want to have to think about doing your IRA or your Roth IRA or your taxable account, your investment account. You don't want to bother about it. You just want to automate it, right? So what does that mean? Before your paycheck even comes, you already automated your 401k. After this, you're now automating your IRAs. You're not thinking about it. And you can create a second bucket for that. It could be a physical bucket or a mental bucket, but that's a second bucket. That's a third bucket. And then the fourth bucket is where your flexible spending and the rest of your bills go to. Some people can use your credit cards for this, and it could be a separate credit card to keep things simple, or the same credit card as you used for option for the fixed expenses in aid. That's completely up to you. But the important thing is to have a plan of how you want to solidify and execute this, right? And under the flexible spending, you can also have that same bucket as your fund bucket. So whatever is left in there could be money that you could use to buy whatever you want to buy. You know, there's this shiny thing that's shining and you want one of it. Hey, it's up to you, whatever makes you happy and gives you joy, right? So that's that. The other thing I was going to say about the first bucket, the checking account, that's also where things like the student loan, anything that's automated, just put it in that bucket every month, just so that you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to think about it. And this can be a little bit challenging when you first start it, but as time goes on, it gets more and more simple, and you get a better hang of it, and before you know it, you have this nice, well-oiled machine where things are organized. And the thing to keep in mind is this is not really a budgeting method per se, but some people actually do think that it helps them monthly increase their cash flow, because now they're more conscious about where their money is going. They're more conscious about their flexible account. And once the money there is done, they're done spending. So you can figure out how to make it work, but I think the system works great for me. And then number two is you want to know exactly what bills are going from which account. Very, very important. It's okay to take a piece of paper or spreadsheet and just draw this out for yourself. I'm actually you can see the picture that we're showing right now. That shows just a general overview of how things should look, but you can do that to fit your own life, but really decide what is coming from what account, okay? And then number 3 point is automate, automate, automate. Automate the system. This is not something that you need to be spending hours and hours doing. Again, as time goes on, it's going to get easier, like a well-oiled machine, but at the get-go, it does take some time to get used to it. And then number 4 is you make some tweaks as you need it, right? Because it has to work for you. Personal finance is finance. My system is different from yours, but overall, the general idea can work, okay? What I love about the system is you're not counting pennies, you're not counting coins, you're never late. And you will be surprised you would no longer have to pay late fees because you're forgetting bills, right? And as time goes on, you get so organized, you know how much your fixed expenses are and what bucket it's coming from. And before you know it, you have no overdraft fees, right? So that's, in my opinion, that's a great thing. I do want to mention, there are some people that love YNAB, You Need a Budget, which is a budgeting/cash flow app or software. I tried YNAB. It didn't quite work for me. It has a huge following. People love it. It did not work for me, and that's why I had to create a sort of cash flow system that works for me. So if you are more like me, hey, welcome. Learn from this. This works. But if you love YNAB, that's great. More power to you. You know, just think for a minute. How would you feel if you woke up every day knowing that your money is automatically going exactly what you want? Whether it's to charity, whether it's to your bills, it's just taken care of. You don't have to click. You don't have to do anything additional. And over time, this just tends to work well for those of us that don't like counting pennies at the end of the day. So if you like this, if you found this helpful, like my page so that if there are any other videos that come up, you're not notified automatically about them. And also, if you need help with creating a budget, or if you need help with fine-tuning or just bringing clarity to your finances, coming up with a debt management plan, feel free to shoot me an email. It's MoneyFitMD. I am so excited to be here, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care, and you have a